because there are so many routes that you could get infected. But if you have that resolve within you, that I do not want to get infected with HIV, even testing for HIV could give you an opportunity of learning more how to prevent yourself from getting infected. And also to parents and caregivers, we are support systems for young people. I say we because I am also a new member in that group. Now, many parents make themselves barriers instead of part of the support system, which is very, very sad because you make yourself inaccessible to your adolescent world. Adolescents are assets, like Dr. Stanley said. We need to really see them as such and not problems, but they could be solutions for us. We find young people who are treatment partners to their parents. We find young people who help their parents plan. So, so young people are not irresponsible as some of us may think. So parents should support more. Talk to doctors and other people that could help you support your adolescents to make the right decisions about prevention and about treatment if they are positive.
Hey, Mohammed, we're coming back to you. Dr. Aliyu mentioned something around stigma. I want to know if you've had any of such experiences when we come back after this break. Welcome back. So, Mohammed, tell me, have you ever experienced, stigma and discrimination, and how did you handle any, if you experienced it?
Well, this is one very tricky question I get all the time. Not everybody living with HIV have to experience stigma and discrimination. For me, I don't think I have experienced stigma and discrimination in a way that could make a headline. Maybe something very small, maybe the way someone looked at me, or maybe some questions people asked me which I think they shouldn't have asked. But being the leader of a network, I've had a lot of my members, if that can apply, who have experienced stigma and discrimination that was quite dangerous. We've even had cases of people who died as a result of the stigma and discrimination that they suffer. Some of them are still suffering, some of them are gone, and but one of the very important forms of stigma that we've not done much. We've done a lot of work around stigma. Most of the work we've done is the perceived externalized stigma. That's a stigma that comes from various external factors, employers, neighbors, family, community, and the rest. But then there's an internalized stigma, the way the person sees himself, that really affects people living with HIV more, especially with adolescents. With adolescents, they live in a world that is that was small because they were children. It was all about good things, mommy, daddy, me, and then their world is getting larger, and then they have to think about what their friends think. I work with a lot of adolescents as volunteers in my organization, and some of them cannot even deliver what they really want to do because of what their friends will think about them. And also, with stigma, it becomes very challenging for somebody to make the right decisions, even when the person knows what to do. We have a case of a young lady who was compelled to test for HIV, even though she knew she was HIV positive, because she wanted to marry a guy. And although the marriage failed, but I know her very well. She was a very fun-loving person before this incident. But since this incident happened, she's not been herself. And this is just one out of so many young people that have been drawn into the caves of sadness because of the stigma they've faced from society and sometimes from their perception of their condition.
Yeah, Mohammed, you work with young people. What can your organization do to get more young people to actually go and get tested? Because that's the beginning of it all.
Well, for us at the Association of Positive Youth Living with HIV and AIDS in Nigeria, we try as much as we can to showcase the possibility of healthy life even with HIV. Because the truth is, testing for HIV, it is not the needle prick that is the thing that scares young people. It's the result, HIV positive, that scares people from testing for HIV. And so what we do in APN is this. We groom young people to be the face for HIV in case their friends need to test. And what's the worst thing that could happen if you test for HIV? Is to be positive. And if you know that I know Jumoke, I know Abigail, I know Musa, who is living with HIV, and they're doing wonderfully well, it wouldn't be that difficult a decision to make if you have to test. So, so it's a gradual process. Before now, it will be difficult to get young people living with HIV and AIDS to talk openly to their peers. But today we have them in their schools, talking about their status, sharing their experiences. We have them talking, some of them go on TV to talk about their status and share experiences. And I believe that these rising numbers of young people going to test, even though the number is small compared to what we expect it should be, but at least it's grown through the years. And a lot of people who have tested for HIV have been inspired by the stories they've heard about people living with HIV, especially those of young people who are like them, who share the same kinds of conditions, challenges they do. When they see these people living their lives healthily for a long time, the whole stories about death after a HIV positive result start fading away in their heads, and then they're inspired to test. And we intend to do much more of this and in larger scale so that we can get more people overcome this fear of a HIV positive result.
Dr. Aliyu, so I understand that Nigeria aims to reach the UNAIDS target with 90% of people living with HIV knowing their status by 2021. How well are we doing in reaching this target?
So I'm afraid we're still a way off. We, especially for the first 90, which is really requiring people to know their status. And there are a lot of barriers that are posing difficulty in this respect. For the second 90, which is putting 90% of people on treatment, and the third 90 of making sure that they have virological suppression, we are doing much better. We are trying to address the first 90 by trying to engage with communities, particularly young people,